So, something I found interesting too is like how we are using our imagination very easily to, you could say, manifest or bring things into existence by automatically focusing on something negative. Now, interesting would be to use it in the same way for something positive, or like to actually focus on a positive outcome, right? But then I can also speak for myself, that just using the imagination for your dreams or potential dream life, or just like to experience something that you would like to experience for yourself, feels almost like a crime. It's almost like that we tell ourselves, that's at least with myself, where I would feel like I cannot do that. I cannot do that. And of course we can. Of course we can. Of course we can imagine something, but it's almost like the mind tries to come up with something that won't allow us to just imagine ourselves having a good life. So almost like it's forbidden or something, or like or we come up with like things like, oh yeah, it's not gonna happen anyway, or like there's no point to it. But there's a point to imagining something negative, right? Like, why is there a point to imagining something negative? We might as well imagining a positive outcome and have that actually come into our life, or make us at least feel some positivity, something positive or good, instead of like the negative. It's very interesting how the mind always wants to come up with something to make something not good or right or bad, and then it's a lie, right? It's a lie. It's a lie that we tell ourselves. But in order to have a good life, you must be able to imagine one first. How else would it come if not through our imagination? So, if we realize that those things only come after we imagined those outcomes, then suddenly it might become a little bit more important to pay attention and stop the negative outcome thinking, and maybe shift that to something positive. Especially if we like hitting against the wall over and over again and we see things not working, then we need to take a step back and see where we come from. How do we feel actually? And what is it that we're actually imagining? Even before we take any actions, that's the other thing. I noticed like, and yeah, I've done it again. Like, obviously I'm not perfect. But I did the same thing too, where I would like start doing things even though I had a bad feeling towards them. And then the outcome is always bad. It just doesn't work. So before touching anything, it's so important to first be okay. Not come from a bad state before taking any actions. Otherwise, a bad feeling leads to bad actions or more bad actions and bring more bad things into our life. While the opposite is true too. If we feel good, if we feel okay, then life brings more good things and we also take better actions. But yeah, I just found it very interesting how we like, or like most people, and including myself for a long time, would not allow to just dwell into dreams. Because you're not supposed to be a dreamer, right? You're supposed to be a little worker bee. Don't have any dreams. Be like a cock in the wheel. Yeah, no. That's how we're supposed to be. Don't be a dreamer. And just do the same thing over and over again. And then interesting what I found, or like something I also notice is I see my life or I see the experiences that I imagine for myself happen in my life. Or they can be positive or negative. But then also with the positive ones I felt before what it was like to experience it. And then later afterwards it just came into my experience. It was not planned, I cannot say random because it was like, it's not really random. It was, I guess, designed by design. But I would feel for those good things that happened in my life, I would feel them before they actually happened, and then they happened. And then when we notice that or sit down, so there are two ways, like if we sit down, we can have like a pure positive feeling towards our dream. But then like the mind comes automatically in and makes it negative. And then we feel negative and then associate something negative with that positive imagination or dream. Because then we think about lack, then we think about, oh, we cannot have it, or tell ourselves that at least, it's not even true. But then we come up with like 10 or 20 things and we basically feel bad for imagining something positive that made us feel positive for a second or longer. But the mind likes to jump in very quick and ruin just like that positive like dream or imagination. So yeah, that's something to pay attention to. Like I think once we shift that, once we realize it's more important to feel good and then good things come instead of like feeling bad and then running and chasing after things and never getting to them and always feeling bad because we have like this future thinking where we like say only in the future can we be okay. So that needs to drop. That needs to be flipped. But that doesn't make sense. It makes more sense to feel good right now and then also allow the positive thing to come that we once imagined. And then when we ask ourselves even, what is the feeling that we want? Because it's not so much about that experience, but the feeling we would have once we have that. That, or like for some people, they want that future far thing, that desire, where they feel lack of or separated from, and it's usually a feeling. So it's not so much about that actual thing, like why that can come too, but it's not even that important because it's the feeling then. And it can be like anything. For some people it could be like, oh, I want to feel loved. So, and I put that imaginary, when I have that, then I can feel that way. Or when I have, let's say, money. Let's say like, oh, I have, I don't know, 500 million or a billion. now I can feel free. Wow, I can finally feel free, right? But it's the feeling then. It's the feeling because we usually feel the opposite way, and we think once we experience that thing that we desire, we can finally feel the opposite of what we presently feel, or the state that we're presently in. So it helps actually to realize that it's not so much about the outcome, and the outcome seems to come anyway. So if we actually feel the thing that we want to feel by having the experience seems to come anyway. So it's more important to actually feel that way already, because it also doesn't seem to come if we feel constantly separated from something, because then it just like doesn't come anyway. So if anyone pays attention to like how much they don't have it, it just keeps going. Or then you're still gonna not have it, but it's not even about having it, but it's feeling it. So yeah, it's just some thoughts to imagination and dreaming something, but also resistance. It's another interesting thing. So we cannot resist life either, right? So we can have a desire for something, and a lot of people say like desire is bad, wanting is bad. I do what I get. So if it's the idea of like lack and separation, but the dream itself, the feeling you get from having something that there's like a pure desire, and that's not bad. To use your imagination, have like a pure desire. It's the idea of lack and separation. That wanting and thinking that you cannot be okay right now without it. So the mind or the ego. No, that's not good. But the dream, the desire, or the imagination, that's a good thing. It's also the only thing that kind of like moves us, right, in a direction. Without that, we drift. You just like being emotionally affected by everything around us